Hi there, wonderful listeners, and welcome back to a brand new episode of the number one English podcast, your friendly space to improve your English through engaging real life conversations. If you're here today, it means you're dedicated to learning and growing, and we're so glad to have you with us.
Absolutely. I'm John, and joining me is the amazing Emily. Today we've got a heartfelt topic, something that touches every person, no matter where you're from or what stage of life you're in. But before we tell you what it is, let me ask you, and our audience, a simple but powerful question. When was the last time you truly spent time with your family? I don't mean sitting in the same room on your phones. I mean being completely present, talking, laughing, maybe even sharing a meal without interruptions.
That really hits home, John. Honestly, it's been quite a while for me. Life just seems to rush by. There's work, projects, social media, endless notifications, and somehow those moments with family get pushed to the background. But when I really stop and think about it, I miss those times deeply. I remember sitting at the kitchen table, just chatting with my parents and siblings, laughing about the little things. It's those simple moments that stay in your heart.
Exactly. And that's what we're talking about today, the importance of family. Not just the biological side, but also the emotional support, the sense of connection, and the role family plays in shaping who we are. Whether your family is big or small, traditional or non-traditional, what matters is the bond.
And just so you know, we've put together a free PDF guide for this episode, packed with key phrases, vocabulary explanations, and bonus practice tips. It's designed to help you follow along, reinforce what you've learned, and apply these expressions in your own life. You'll find the link in the episode description.
Definitely grab it. It's a great resource for your learning journey. And today, we're not alone. We're also joined by our brilliant vocabulary expert, Anna. She'll break down the most important words and phrases you'll hear in today's conversation, with clear definitions and real-life examples.
Hi everyone, I'm so excited to be part of this discussion. Family is one of those topics that's deeply personal, but also incredibly universal. I'll be jumping in at the end to highlight vocabulary that you can use not just when talking about family, but also in conversations about emotions, relationships, and support.
Thanks, Anna. So, Emily, let's dive deeper. In your experience, how has your family influenced the way you connect with others?
That's a thoughtful question. I truly believe that our families are the first place we learn how to interact with the world. For example, when I was a child, my parents were always encouraging. If I had a performance at school, even something small like reciting a poem, they were in the front row, cheering me on. That constant presence gave me confidence. It showed me that showing up for others matters. Now, as an adult, I try to do the same for my friends and coworkers. I learned that from home.
That sounds really familiar. My dad had a demanding job, but he made it a point to come to all my football matches. Even if he had to leave early from work or rearrange his schedule, he showed up. And over time, that kind of reliability shapes your expectations. I think it's why I place such high value on loyalty and consistency in my own relationships today.
Yes, families don't just tell us how to care for others, they show us. It's through those repeated actions that we learn the deeper meaning of love and trust. Even small things like listening without interrupting or offering help without being asked, those lessons stay with us forever.
Absolutely. And it's important to remember that family isn't only about the joyful moments. It's also about standing by each other when things get tough. I remember going through a rough patch a few years ago. I'd lost a job, and I was feeling really lost. One day, my sister just turned up with takeout and said, "Let's hang out." We didn't even talk about the problem that much. We just spent time together. But that visit meant the world to me. It reminded me that no matter how hard life gets, I have someone in my corner.
I love that story, and I've experienced the same kind of support. When I was facing a major career decision, I felt so torn and anxious. My brother called me one evening, and instead of giving advice or telling me what to do, he simply said, "Whatever you choose, I believe in you." That sentence brought me peace. Sometimes you don't need solutions. You just need someone to say, I've got you.
That's such a good point, Emily. Words like, I believe in you, might seem simple, but when they come from someone you trust, especially a family member, they carry so much weight. And I think that's part of what makes family so powerful. They see you at your lowest and still reflect back your best.
Exactly. And beyond support, there's also a deep sense of belonging that comes from family. You know that feeling. When you're around them, you don't need to explain yourself. You don't need to pretend. It's the one place where you're accepted for who you really are.
Yes, it's like even if the world feels chaotic, your family is your safe space. I remember when I moved to a new city. At first, it was exciting. New people, new places. But after a while, I started feeling homesick. Not for the actual house, but for the people. I missed those inside jokes at the dinner table and the familiar routines that made me feel grounded.
That's so relatable. When I left for university, I was thrilled to be independent. But after the initial excitement wore off, I found myself calling home just to hear my mom's voice. It wasn't about needing anything, it was about reconnecting with that sense of comfort.
Exactly. And that connection doesn't just stay within the walls of your home, it shapes how you connect with the world. People who grow up feeling loved and supported often carry those emotional tools with them into friendships, work environments, even parenting.
That's true. I've seen how people who had caring family environments are often better at listening, offering empathy, and resolving conflict. They've had years of practice. And you're right, those emotional skills are like tools we carry around with us, sometimes without realizing it.
And the opposite can be true too. I have friends who didn't grow up in supportive homes, and they often say it took them years to learn how to trust people, or even themselves. That's why it's so important to recognize the impact family has. It's not just about growing up, it's about growing into the kind of person you'll be for life.
Absolutely. And that's why, even as adults, staying connected to family, in whatever way you define it, is so meaningful. Whether it's a weekly call, a shared meal, or just checking in via text, these small gestures help keep that foundation strong.
And it's not only emotional. Being with family has measurable benefits for your mental health. I mean, just spending a weekend with my parents or siblings recharges me in a way that nothing else does. It's like emotional rest and repair all in one.
Yes. And I've read studies that show how quality time with family can reduce anxiety, improve mood, and even boost immune response. It's like science catching up to what we've always felt, that family time is healing.
It really is. I remember one particular Sunday dinner with my extended family. We were all crammed around the table, telling stories, laughing way too loudly. And in that moment, nothing else mattered. The stress of work, deadlines, and to-do lists just faded into the background.
That's such a beautiful picture. And it's a reminder that sometimes the best therapy isn't a professional. It's just time with people who love you unconditionally.
Totally. And family also plays a huge role in education and personal development. Like, I had trouble with reading as a kid. My mom would sit with me every night after dinner, not pushing, not scolding, just reading with me. That built my confidence. It taught me patience and perseverance.
That reminds me of my dad helping me with math. I was always frustrated with numbers, but he'd come up with silly stories to make it fun. And those moments weren't just about homework, they were about bonding, about him saying, "You're not alone in this."
And those lessons last. They stay with us into adulthood. The idea that effort matters more than perfection, that kindness is more important than competition, those are values we carry forward.
Yes. My grandma used to say, "People won't always remember what you did, but they'll remember how you made them feel." That stuck with me. And I think those kinds of life lessons, passed down in small moments, are some of the most powerful gifts a family can give.
That's such a wise quote. My grandfather had something similar. He'd always say, if you're lucky enough to have something, share it. Whether it was food, advice, or time, he believed that giving was what made life meaningful. And honestly, I try to live by that.
Those intergenerational values shape us so deeply. And it's incredible how even short interactions, a walk with your aunt, a baking session with your cousin, can stay in your heart forever.
And you know, Emily, I think one of the most underrated lessons we learn from family is respect. Not just saying please or thank you, though that's part of it, but truly respecting differences. In a family, no one is exactly the same. You learn to listen to other opinions, to navigate arguments, and to forgive. That's powerful.
That's so true. In my family, we don't always agree. In fact, sometimes we have loud debates. But we always return to the same table. We've learned how to disagree without disconnecting, and that's a skill I use all the time at work and in friendships.
Right? And it makes you realize that healthy conflict is normal. What matters is how you handle it. Families teach us how to communicate, how to apologize, and how to move forward.
And how to laugh again after a hard moment. I've had days where I argued with my brother in the morning, and by evening we were making fun of each other like nothing happened. That emotional flexibility, that ability to bounce back, is such a gift.
Exactly. And I think that's why people who have strong family relationships often build stronger communities. They're more likely to volunteer, to support others, to notice when someone is struggling. That empathy starts at home and spreads outward.
Yes, it's a ripple effect. Love and kindness don't stay contained. They flow into classrooms, offices, neighborhoods, and even if you didn't grow up with a perfect family, you can still create that environment for someone else. Friends can become family, mentors, neighbors. It's never too late to build connection.
I love that. It's never too late. Whether you're 15 or 55, you can choose to strengthen the relationships that matter. You can call your parents, spend time with your siblings, or simply sit down for dinner together. Those little moments build something lasting.
So, to our listeners, maybe today's the day. Maybe today is the perfect time to reconnect with someone in your family, however you define it. Send a message, make a phone call, or visit. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Just start small.
Exactly. And remember, no family is perfect. That's not the goal. The goal is to keep showing up, to love, to listen, to support. That's what truly matters.
We really hope today's episode has inspired you to reflect on your own family connections and to value those relationships more deeply. And now, let's bring in Anna to help us take today's vocabulary to the next level.
Thanks, Emily and John. This was such a touching and meaningful discussion. Now, let's review and expand on some of the key vocabulary we've heard today. These are words and expressions you can use in your own conversations about family, relationships, and emotional health. Vocabulary breakdown with examples. Presence, being emotionally or physically available and attentive. Example, when I'm with my family, I try to be fully present and put my phone away. Reconnect, to re-establish a bond after distance or time apart. Example, after a year abroad, I reconnected with my cousins over dinner. Support, to offer encouragement or help during difficult times. Example, even when I doubted myself, my sister continued to support me. Belonging, a sense of being accepted and valued in a group. Example, being with my grandparents gives me a deep feeling of belonging. Foundation, the base on which something strong is built. Example, family creates the foundation for all our future relationships. Empathy, the ability to understand and feel what others feel. Example, my parents taught me empathy by always listening without judgment. Values, core beliefs or principles that guide behavior. Example, kindness and honesty were values my family always emphasized. Respect, treating others with consideration and understanding. Example, in my family, we learned to respect each other's differences. Conflict, a disagreement or argument. Example: even though we have conflict, we always talk things through. Healing, the process of recovery and emotional restoration. Example: spending time with loved ones can be incredibly healing. Emotional resilience, the ability to recover from emotional setbacks. Example: my family helped me develop emotional resilience from a young age. Try using some of these words in your own writing or conversations. Think about your own family experiences and how these concepts apply. The more you practice them, the more natural they'll become in your English.
Thank you so much, Anna. That was a fantastic explanation, and such a useful list for our learners.
Yes, thank you. It's always amazing to see how much vocabulary can deepen our understanding of emotional topics like this.
Well, that brings us to the end of today's episode. Thank you to everyone who joined us. We hope this conversation has reminded you of the deep importance of family and the power of connection.
Whether you're making time for a sibling, having tea with a parent, or simply sending a message to someone you care about, know that it matters. These are the moments that shape us.
And remember, we've prepared a free PDF guide for you with all the vocabulary from today's episode. Download it, review the phrases, and use them in your everyday life.
Thank you again for being here. Keep learning, keep growing, and most importantly, keep showing up for the people who matter.
We'll see you next time on the #1 English podcast.
Bye, everyone. And don't forget, your journey doesn't stop here. Click on our next episode or check out the bonus vocabulary review videos we've made just for you.